The Red Death had long devastated the country. No pestilence had ever been so fatal, nor so hideous. Blood was its avatar and its seal, the redness and the horror of blood. There were sharp pains and sudden dizziness, and then profuse bleeding around the pores with dissolution. The scarlet stains upon the body, and especially upon the face of the victim, were the pest ban which shut him out from the aid and from the sympathy of his fellow man. And the whole seizure, progress and termination of the disease were the instance of half an hour. Edgar Allan Poe, along with Bram Stoker and Mary Shelley, is responsible for the modern idea of Gothic horror. He was both a poet and a storyteller, weaving tales set amidst cold stone and crumbling ruins, with more realistic threats with a hint of the supernatural. In his story, The Masque of the Red Death, the titular mask is just a stand-in for the plague that Prince Prospero chooses to ignore. In the meantime, it was folly to grieve or to think. In fact, he is so ignorant that when it enters his party, the prince, rather than being concerned that someone has slipped in, is more offended that the costume is gaudy, even blasphemous, that it seemed to mock his mockery of the Red Death. However, as we will see, to ignore a problem only makes it worse. The figure was tall and gaunt, and shrouded from head to foot in the habiliments of the grave. The mask which concealed the visage was made so nearly to resemble the countenance of a stiffened corpse that the closest scrutiny must have had difficulty in detecting the cheat. And yet all this might have been endured, if not approved, by the mad revellers around. But the mummer had gone so far as to assume the type of the Red Death. His vesture was dabbled in blood, and his broad brow, with all the features of the face, was besprinkled with the scarlet horror. Poe's presentation of the mask as this gaunt, corpse-like figure shows just how awful this plague is. It is a theme throughout the story that Prince Prospero's actions have left blood on his hands, even if not literally, nor through direct violence. He is negligent, and oftentimes that is worse than outright malevolence. When the eyes of Prince Prospero fell upon this spectral image, which with a slow and solemn movement, as if more fully to sustain its role, stalked to and fro among the waltzers, he was seen to be convulsed, in the first moment with a strong shudder either of terror or of distaste, but in the next, his brow furrowed with rage. "Who dares," he demanded hoarsely of the group that stood around him, "who dares thus to make mockery of our woes? Uncase the varlet, that we may know whom we have to hang tomorrow at sunrise in the battlements. Will no one stir at my bidding? Stop him and strip him, I say, of those reddened vestures of sacrilege." The Masque of the Red Death is, fundamentally, anti-aristocratic. When the Red Death grieves the country so, Prince Prospero does not offer anything to help those most affected by it. Rather, he throws an enormous masquerade ball, inviting all of his noble friends to party while they wait for the Red Death to blow over. What is important to note is that he throws this party in an abbey, a Christian abbey that he owns. He is using his power to withhold a place of belonging from the poor, weak and sick, thinking that will save him from catching the disease that half depopulated the country. However, diseases do not care for how wealthy or politically powerful you are. They will not relent just because you have a bigger bank account than a peasant. Likewise, the Red Death did not care that Prince Prospero wanted to hang it at dawn. So, when Prince Prospero lunges the mask with the dagger drawn, all it does is look at him suddenly, killing the prince in an instant. The other guests tear apart the mask's costume, only to find there is nothing there. Nothing, save for the Red Death.